Without going too far, I know people will think this is perhaps a little bit over the top, but it's got me wondering whether Mikel Arteta and his tactics perhaps don't get the best out of our wingers in particular, but some of the forwards and some of the talent we have. Now, I know that I'm going to put a very balanced case here, the for, the against and everything. But this was sparked by a really great thread of tweets I saw from AREN Reed, at Read the Game. Go check him out on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Let me read him out. He says, if I'm Gabriel Martinelli, I'd be getting pretty fed up. He is statistically and by the eye Arsenal's best finisher, yet he's being utilised as a wide midfielder, averaging less shots per 90 than Casemiro, Dwight McNeil and Alex Iwobi. He is a forward, get him closer to goal. If he was playing at Klopp's Liverpool, he would be averaging 4 shots per game. Nunes currently averages 4.64 per 90. Martinelli with 2.05, the 58th most in the league. Now that, and I will say, whenever I come here and do, whether it's an infocus, a tactical insight, and I present evidence, if it's my thoughts and my insight and my research, I'll present it that way. But what I'm about to present now is very much sparked by what Aaron has tweeted here. It's a really kind of great point that I hadn't really thought about. And look, there's a lot of credit to give Arteta for the work he's done with the wingers, but in this particular season, I think you could argue that some of the tactics we're deploying, the way we play, is maybe stifling the likes of Saka and Martinelli. Let me go through it. So I've got here the Premier League wingers compared, some Premier League wingers compared, FBref key stats per 90. We've got Martinelli, Diaz, Doku, Rashford, Sterling and Johnson, because they typically play out on the left, is why I've gone for them. Sterling, I know, has played out on the right at times or whatever. But if you look at goals per 90, Martinelli, only Johnson and Rashford have less, but there's not that much in it between Martinelli and Rashford, who's apparently having a terrible season. He's nowhere near Diaz, well, I say nowhere near, but Diaz was 0.29, Doku 0.26, Sterling 0.36, all doing better than Martinelli. Again, with shots per 90, Diaz does better, Doku does better, Rashford does better, Johnson does better, only Sterling with less shots per 90 than Martinelli. XG 0.16. It's less than Diaz, it's slightly more than Doku, it's less than Rashford, it's less than Sterling, and it's less than Johnson. That tells you the quality of shot he is getting away, Martinelli, that actually they're not particularly high XG chances, they're not particularly great opportunities where you're going, Martinelli should definitely bury that. Look what he did against Wolves the other day, where he burst through the pitch, but he did really well to get a shot out of that, and look at the work he had to put in just to get into that area. And there's lots of others. You can hit pause if you want to look at these, but again, touches in the penalty area, slightly better than the likes of Diaz and Rashford, but worse than Sterling, worse than worse than Doku, and shot creating actions not particularly high either. The point I'm trying to make is there's a lot of evidence that the likes of Martinelli and Saka, but we'll get on Saka in a bit, are actually struggling to benefit massively from Arsenal's style of play this season, where last season we were blistering and Ødegaard got 15 league goals, I think Saka got 15 league goals, Martinelli did, or at least got near it. It felt like their output was so high and we were playing with these two blistering wingers who made Gary Neville's team of the season at the end of the year despite not winning the title, and this season we don't have that from our two wingers, and you've got to kind of ask why. So we talked about whether this is a tactical thing, whether this is a style of play thing. Well, there's a couple of things I do want to show. Firstly, the tactical pad. Now let's reset the tactical pad here. Right. First and foremost in this game, Arsenal, and they have done all season, they play with their wingers really, really high and wide. If we just move Villa up the pitch into a somewhat more defensive shape, Martinelli, Saka play high and wide, and it leaves space for Ødegaard and Havertz. Rice comes inside, there's Zinchenko, and there's your back three. But the thing I want to say about this from an Arsenal perspective is I can understand why we play with really high and wide wingers. I can totally understand that. But when you've got the likes of, Martinelli, Saka really high and wide, they do it to stretch the pitch, so that Digne and Konsa are forced to come across. Maybe they get doubled up on because McGinn and Bailey might get back. And then that should really give Ødegaard, Havertz and Jesus a lot of space to have fun and basically outnumber Luiz and Kamara. Maybe Tielemans drops in, but they're still going to have a lot of space centrally. The thing about this game, though, is that Villa was stretched anyway. Villa were very, very open. So they went to press. They didn't double up on Martinelli and Saka. And actually, they weren't really getting out to them too quickly. There was a lot of space. If we just move Villa up the pitch a little bit more, there's a lot of space for them to attack in this area of the pitch right here. You know, these sort of, in fact, if we just get rid of that and do it again, without that, there we go. These out-to-in runs from Martinelli and Saka were on all game. In fact, they each had one. Martinelli got in behind, and when Martinez came out, he basically made a little bit of a mess of the chance because he tried to lift it over him, and then, well, basically got to lift it into the back of the net. Oh, what's going on here? You got to lift it into the back of the net, or you lift it enough so you can get around and put it into the back of the net. But that wasn't the only opportunity. When Rice had the ball in this area of the pitch, Saka, he's offside when he makes that run, but if he times it better, he's in. Martinez comes out and he goes around and puts it into the back of the net. There were moments for Saka and Martinelli to get behind that back four, and whether it was not making the most of it when they did, or, you know, an offside run, not timing it right, you know, there were basically wasted opportunities that you're looking at and you're going, come on, front five, you've got to do better. But this is where I want to present a little bit of evidence to suggest that this is slightly unfair to kind of blame Martinelli and Saka, because even though I've gone, let me just say, for everything I've just said up till now, this isn't a slight on Martinelli or Saka or them not doing enough. I wonder whether this is a tactical thing in Mikel Arteta's system. So let's just go back, because I want to show you some other stuff. Can I really blame Saka and Martinelli for not being killers, where for so much of the football we play, they're not really expected to exploit space that much? Have a little look at this from the analyst. Style of play. Arsenal much nearer to Man City in the slow and intricate side of things, where you look at direct speed up on the left and you look at passes per sequence. Arsenal and Brighton much nearer Man City, where you look at Liverpool, much more direct speed, they're much faster, as are Manchester United. Everton, very direct, far less pass sequences in their style of play, can be very direct as well. Arsenal, not so much. So it's very difficult where you're used to playing against perhaps low blocks, and you're used to playing against teams where you've got to build up through them, you'll be quite intricate, you've got to take on fullbacks a lot. Saka and Martinelli didn't have to do a lot of that. They had to time their runs and try and attack that space, and we didn't do that anywhere near enough. I also want to show you these two graphics where you look at direct speed and direct attacks from the analyst. And if you look at the direct speed, for example, Arsenal, the third slowest, with Burnley and Manchester City, only the two slower teams in terms of their attacks, how quickly we get to goal. Look at the likes of Liverpool are fourth, Man United are fifth. And look, this doesn't mean you have to play this way. Treble winners are the slowest. But the fact that Arsenal don't have that ability to go from one end of the pitch to the other is a little bit of a shame. You can see it with the number of direct attacks we've had as well. You know, we're ranking as one of the lowest. We are not able to just kill teams when that space opens up. Now, I did say that I wanted to be balanced in all this, because I can ask the question, is Arteta limiting our wingers? Well, maybe in this way. But have a look at some of Saka's numbers here. 8 goals, 12 assists in all competitions. Salah has 14 goals and 8 assists in all competitions. You know, he's 2 goals and assists shy of, you know, Mo Salah, Premier League legend, Liverpool legend, who's in brilliant form, arguably player of the season at the moment in the Premier League. He's 2 shy of his goal contributions in all competitions, and that includes Champions League football that Saka's playing. Salah can't even say that, which is sort of a strange thing to say because Liverpool are normally in it. So Saka's output has been brilliant. While Martinelli's falling short a little bit, Saka's output has been brilliant, but does he look on the eye as exciting as last season? Perhaps not. So you compile all of that, and then this quote from Pep Guardiola in November 2017, where he said, "I think Raheem is enjoying scoring goals. He's not scared. He's not afraid to take a risk. And now we're seeing how fun, how good it is to score goals. Now he's more focused on that. Mikel Arteta is working many hours and days after training specifically about the last action on the pitch, that control in the last moment to make the right movement in the final 3 or 4 metres. Pep Guardiola said it there, and I wanted to give you the Pep Guardiola evidence of it, as well as other people have said it, whether it be reports, people who are following what Man City and Arteta were doing over all those years. Arteta has worked brilliantly with wingers before, Martinelli and Saka. Martinelli and Saka at Arsenal, Raheem Sterling, Leroy Sané at Man City. He is a master of working with wingers and getting the most out of them. We saw it last season with us as well. So why is it that, well, 2 things. A, why is it that we look so blunt compared to last season in wider areas? But crucially, You know, should we be questioning Mikel Arteta when he's actually got a real track record of showing that he knows what he's doing with wide players as well? And I just want to say a really big thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, actually hit the links right here to watch more content like this, including my Football First podcast, which drops every Monday to Friday at 6 AM. And I know it's annoying, I am really sorry to have to ask, but if you want to show support to the channel, hitting the like and subscribe buttons help promote the content much more than you could possibly know. Thanks again.